listening to The Still Small Voice. I'm Jennifer, your host, the Still Small Voice Whisperer. Thank you for joining me today. I am hoping this podcast gets you thinking, intuiting, listening, and maybe even acting on your still small voice. I'm a little different. I feel I should tell you this up front. I spend a lot of time in silence and solitude because I cannot be myself without it. I do what I do without necessarily checking in with others and the world around me. This makes me a seemingly socially awkward and antisocial person. However, I just don't abide by doing things because everyone else is doing it or because that's what you're supposed to do. So with that in mind, I want to let you know that these podcast episodes are going to be a bit different. You don't need to listen to me talk. You don't need more information from a guest interview, or any more information at all, actually, from anyone. Except for you. You need your information, and you need to hear from you. So this is what we're going to do. You are the guest this season. I'm going to interview you. In each episode, I'm going to ask you questions, and I'll give you about 3 minutes for the answers. I invite you to speak out the answers just like you're the guest. Or maybe you need to answer them in your mind instead of out loud if you're listening to this at work or in a public place, or not. You do you. Here's your opportunity to listen to the most intelligent, loving, and authoritative person in your own life. Others know things and can teach you, but at the end of the day, it really is all about you. It's about what you think and believe that really, really matters. We can spend too much time listening to others and not to ourselves. All right, let's get started. Welcome to Listening to the Still Small Voice. I'm so excited to be interviewing you. Thank you for being on the podcast today. You have decades of experience in work, education, relationships, and overall life experience. I am so excited to hear from you today and about how you are in the world. Thank you for joining us today. This is our 7th and final episode in this series, learning more about how the still small voice speaks to you and your relationship to it within the areas of your life. These conversations have been so helpful and enlightening. I'm very excited to get to today's episode. It is the culmination of all the previous episodes, taking into consideration 2 topics that can be so stressful, confusing, and all around anxiety producing, just in case we didn't cover enough of them earlier in the season. And again, note the word that I said can in that sentence. The word can. And as this is the Listening to the Still Small Voice podcast, I want to look at this topic from possibility. So let's throw all reality and constraints out the window, move yourself to an alternate universe while staying right where you are. Isn't that easy and fun? And let's dive in. I'm excited about this topic because I used to be so shut down and closed about it. Now it's become my favorite thing to consider and talk about. Let's start on the right note. Again, if you wave the magic wand and listen to your still small voice, what would your money look like? And what would your time look like? I hesitated to put both of these in the same episode as we could probably spend hours talking about each of them on their own. But I find that they really do work hand in hand with each other. And I want to ask, how does that work for you, and what does that look like for you? Is time money? Do you, or would you use money to, as they say, buy your time back? Do you have a focus that the one serves the other, or vice versa? Or is there different capacities or time? I'm just curious how you look at it. That's the great thing, right? There is no right answer. Your answer, what you want and need, is the right answer. As we've continued talking, is there anything else that may have come up about money and time as you're listening to your still small voice? And like I said, this topic is just unlimited and based on so many things in and around our lives. So is there anything else that's come up while we've been chatting? I love the different ideas and the different ways of looking at things. I cannot believe that this is our last question of the episode and of this series. We focused a lot in the previous 7 episodes on what your still small voice wants for you in the world. I was going to ask, is there anything that your still small voice really wants for the world? Maybe something in your community, in your faith, in your family, in your friends. And I mean, to look at it a different way, like if you wave your magic wand in the world, what is the one thing that you would want to change in the world? Wow. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that and giving us your vision of a different future. Thank you so much for taking the time today and for the last 7 episodes coming on the show, sharing more about your experiences. I know our audience finds them invaluable, and I know that some stuff came up for the both of us as we navigated those questions. Thank you so much again for coming on and being honest about the things that affect us in everyday life, whether we want it to or realize it or not. Thank you for hanging out with me and yourself this season. So what do you think? Weird? Fun? A little bit of both? There's more where that came from. Stay tuned for whatever is in store for season 2. We will likely both be surprised by what I come up with next. Thanks for joining me today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, I'm so glad. If you didn't, that's great too. Thanks for giving it a try. You can do all the things: subscribe, rate, review, emoji it up if you feel so called. I appreciate any feedback you have. Please reach out to me on Facebook at The Still Small Voice Whisperer.